I'm Richard Gage with Architects and Engineers for 9/11 Truth. We're here in Sydney with Jan Utzon, son of the great Bjorn Utzon, who designed the Sydney Opera House. Jan, 1 year ago, saw fit to sign our petition after being introduced to the Architects and Engineers for 9/11 Truth and the need for a new investigation into the destruction of the 3 World Trade Center high-rise towers. We are so great to be able to meet you, Jan. And
nice to meet you.
Yes, tell us just a little bit about, if you would, your father and the creation of this iconic world-class image that 2/3 of the people in the world now recognize instantly.
Oh, well, it was a competition in '57, and which he was so lucky to win, because it takes a lot of luck, a lot of different things to happen at the same time to do that, and also that the country at the time allowed such a construction to go ahead. It was unheard of, but it could only happen in Australia. If you didn't want the same competition in Denmark, it would never have happened.
Yes. Okay. Well, good. Well, let's talk now about what initially inspired you to sign our petition and when that happened and why.
Well, because I think that once you get some sort of feeling that things are not right, you want to put it right. You want to have the information that convinces you that this is true, this is what happened, and as long as you are in doubt about that, or at least as long as a lot of people are in doubt about what actually happened, I think the whole story deserves a closer scrutiny. And for that, I think it is important that we get all the things on the table, all the different facts, and see what is actually right. Because if somebody they are indeed trying to cover something up, it's good to get it out of the open, because what else would they be covering up?
Right. Good question. All right, so you're calling for a new investigation of the destruction of these 3 high-rises?
I think it's a natural thing to require or ask for, if you will, such an investigation, since there seem to be so many unclear facts in this situation. Whether these unclear facts are created by the media or by people, I don't know, but at least let's take it all apart and see what's fact and what's fiction.
So you're about truth.
Yes, certainly.
Well, so when did you first become aware of the collapse of Building 7?
Actually, quite a long time after the event happened.
Right. Okay. Well, what are the features of the collapse of World Trade Center 7 that caused you to be disturbed?
The fact that nothing had hit it, that the upper stories were all intact when it suddenly collapsed. And how can it collapse? I mean, I understand the other buildings, you see a plane going, you see fire for a while, if you're told that it's because all the steel structure is melting and suddenly it gives away and collapses, you accept that, and then suddenly you see this building next door collapsing for no apparent reason.
And what did its collapse look like to you?
It looked like it was a demolition more than anything else.
So, and
I mean, that it looks very much like some of the footage you have seen from other buildings, like Discovery Channel sometimes shows big demolitions of buildings going down. It looks exactly like that.
Yeah, enough to warrant an investigation, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
At least when it is sold as something that collapsed due to the impact of the aircraft in the other 2 towers, you start to wonder.
Yes. Well, let's talk about the other 2 towers. After you saw the movie 9/11 Blueprint for Truth, what caused you to doubt the official story?
Mostly that some of the questions that were posed by other people later on.
Like what?
The sequence seen from across the New York harbor of the Twin Towers, and the rate of fall, and the way they actually collapsed.
Yes, these buildings collapsed at 2/3 of free fall speed.
Yes.
That's like almost free fall.
It is, yes.
So it would bother you that 80,000 tons of structural steel would somehow give way. What caused it to give way? Is that a question you have too?
Yeah, well, of course, I don't know of any other building that has been demolished, if you say that, in such a way. But I would expect maybe it would be tilting, or it would be doing all sorts of things.
Falling organically through the path of least resistance
or something like
instead
that.
of straight down through the 80,000 tons?
Then, of course, it's such a huge mass that sits on top, so it's not going to shift its trajectory very much. So therefore, I've accepted the story as it has been explained.
As did I for 3.5 years. Regarding that mass, we found that that 15-story section above the rest of it, above the jet plane impacts, we found in the videos that it has destroyed itself in the first 4 seconds. Telescoping in on itself before there's any movement downward, such that in all of the videos and photos, there's no pile driver driving the rest of the building down. It's tearing itself apart.
Because you would think that if you, of course, I don't know the degree of security that the structure has inherent, whether it's dimensioned to take 3 times the load, or 4 or 5 times the load it's supposed to take. But of course, if you took 3 or 4 stories out of the building in one go, and the whole lot fell on top of that, like one big lump, that's one situation. But if it crumbles slowly, it's a different situation. And it's amazing that it can happen that way. But what struck me most was, of course, Building 7, when that collapsed. Because why did this happen? Because that must have been taken out from below. And whether the shock wave of the 2 towers had gone up, but then some other buildings would have collapsed as well.
Right, and that wasn't their explanation. They cite normal office fires, not even debris impacts from the north tower.
And you saw nothing in the elevations from the outside. Something collapsed.
Yes, there's no deformations in the exterior perimeter. And that was a perimeter moment-resisting frame. I mean, that was a very rigid structure on the perimeter. So one would have expected it to maintain its integrity.
All of this has only cost me, I'm not saying it's not true in that sense, but I'm saying I'm concerned with the story, and I would love to hear some very good explanations on why this is so.
Okay, so are you willing to talk to your colleagues in the architecture and engineering fields about your signing our petition and inviting them to take a look?
I'd love to discuss this in a wider forum. If you don't want to talk about what might be true or what might be false, then you might as well go into the closet and forget about it.
Did you hear that? I agree with you 100%. Well, it's just been awesome to talk to you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Good luck with your tour around Australia and New Zealand.
Yes, thank you. We're on a tour. We're going to be going to Brisbane, Melbourne, and also Auckland and in New Zealand and Japan. 7 stops in Japan. And it turns out that Jan has met Yukihisa Fujita from Japan, and we're very excited to be able to follow in Jan's footsteps and meet Yukihisa Fujita, the key senator in Japan as well. So bye from the Sydney Opera House.